the God at the start of Genesis that is creating the world is actually an amalgamation to deceive and misdirect of the gods, the reptilian gods. And what's being described is not the creation of the world, but the creation of the simulation, the matrix. And so when we hear lines like, and God said, let there be light, and there was light, I say what's being described is electromagnetic light, which is basically what this simulation is. And I said just after the turn of the millennium that this is a simulation, and the walls of it, certainly at our level anyway, are the speed of light, which is not the fastest speed possible. That's a joke. We're dealing with all possibility here. That's the fastest speed possible. It's a joke. It's the speed of the matrix of the simulation. And there was an article in Scientific American in April of this year where some academic said, we live in a simulation and the walls of the simulation are the speed of light. And he was relating the speed of light in simulation terms to the processing speed. Because what is physics? What is the law of physics, as we call it? It's whatever the creator of the simulation decided it was going to be. What are, in effect, the laws of physics of computer games? They're whatever the creator of the game decides they're going to be. But as this article pointed out, you can create the laws within your game, but you're still going to be limited by the processing speed you're dealing with. And that's why the speed of light is this faster speed. That's why when people have near-death experiences, they leave the body, which is locking us into the simulation through the five senses, and they experience a totally different version of physics, where past, present, and future all kind of happen at once in the same now. But within the simulation, we have time. We have all these other illusions, which are the creation of the simulation. So you had this treasure trove of documents that were found at Nagamadi in 1945, about 75 miles north of Luxor in Egypt, which was an earthen jar of the writings of the Gnostic people. And it's reckoned that they were put in that jar 400 AD, something like that. And about a fifth of these writings were about what they called archons, which is Greek for rulers, who were manipulating human society. And what they say in these writings is that this world is a fake world. It's a fake reality created by this archontic force to enslave humanity in an illusion. I went through all of them, and what you see, they're describing a virtual reality universe. That's what they're describing in their own language, what we would call today virtual reality. One of the great things today is that because of the technological advancement, so-called, we've now got the analogies and the experience of virtual reality to actually describe what this reality is.
You are power.
Called enemies within yourself. Here's the first one: indifference. Whatever you do, practice not being casual. You've got to shake off sometimes the lethargy. that would say, oh, well, maybe it's not going to work for me, or I'll just go along and see what happens. I'm asking you, whatever you do, the intensity that you've gathered up here during this extravaganza, I want you to take this same intensity home with you. Don't be casual. Casualness creates casualties, whether it's in Herbalife or whether it's on the freeway. Go home with a renewed intensity. Don't let indifference take over. Here's the next one, indecision. Someone's mentioned it a couple of times on this stage. They've had to deal with it. You've got to deal with it. Indecision is called the thief of opportunity. Make decisions even if it's a wrong decision. Do the very best you can, make a decision and go with it. If it doesn't work out because it was a wrong decision, I'm telling you, that gives you experience now to make a better decision. Here's the next one, doubt. We've all got to deal with the enemy of doubt. Cynicism has a unique way of crowding in on all of us. Being cynical about the government, being cynical about banks and money, being cynical about society, being cynical about the past, cynical about the future. I'm asking you, don't let that disease grab you by the throat and ruin your chances to do well in Herbalife. Yes, it's easy to doubt that it can happen. It's easy to doubt. We've all got fears that want to crowd in. And here's one of the worst ones of all, and that is to doubt yourself. I know we look at Mark, glamorous, handsome, good-looking, extremely successful. Say, my gosh, I don't think that could happen for me. But I want you to know that Mark says, and I say to you, that if it can happen to us, it can happen to anybody in this room. Don't doubt your own ability. Don't doubt your own strength. If Mark can make it through some tough times, you can make it through. If Mark went through some strenuous times, you can go through those strenuous times. When the nights were long for Mark, I'm telling you, he made it. If he made it, you can make it. If I can make it, you can make it. If these people in the president's team can carve out an extraordinary story, second to none, in the business community of the world, I'm telling you, from these tables, this success can go right on back to the millionaire team and the Get team and to everybody up there, wherever you're sitting today. All of this belongs to all of you. Don't doubt that, not for a minute.
Isn't it fantastic that if there's no purpose, you have nothing to fulfill, you can just live? No, but you want a purpose. And not a simple purpose, you want a God-given purpose. It's very dangerous. People who think they have a God-given purpose are doing the cruelest things on the planet. Yes or no? They are doing the most horrible things, and they've always been doing the most horrible things. Because when you have a God-given purpose, life here becomes less important than your purpose. No, life is important. Life is important. When I say life, I am not talking about your family, your work, what you do, what you do not do, your party. I'm not talking about that as life. This is life, isn't it? Life is within you or around you. The ambience of life, you're mistaking the ambience of life for life. Your home, your family, your workspace, your party, this is all ambience of life. This is not life, isn't it? Yes or no? You're mistaking the ambience for the real thing. No. Life is important because it's the only thing you know. You don't know anything else. Do you know something else? Rest is all imagined stuff, isn't it? The only thing is that this is beating and alive and that's all there is. So is this important? It is of paramount importance. Not you as a person, that's not important. But you as a piece of life, it's very important because that is the basis of everything. When I say that is the basis of everything, the universe exists for you only because you are, isn't it? Yes or no? The world exists for you only because you are, otherwise it wouldn't exist in your experience. So, in every way, this is important. So what is the purpose for this? See, if you had a purpose and if you fulfill it, after that what would you do? After that what would you do? Bored, isn't it? It is just that life is so intricate and so phenomenally intricate that if you spend 10,000 years looking at it carefully, you still will not know it entirely. If you spend 1,000,000 years looking at it with absolute focus, still you will not know it in its entirety. That's how it is. Is there a meaning to it? The greatest thing about life is that there is no meaning to it. This is the greatest aspect of life, that it has no meaning to it and there is no need for it to have a meaning. It is the pettiness of one's mind that it is seek a meaning, because psychologically you will feel kind of unconnected with life if you don't have a purpose and a meaning. People are constantly trying to create these false purposes. Now, they were quite fine and happy, suddenly they got married, now the purpose is the other person. Then they have children, now they become miserable with each other. Now the whole purpose that I go through all this misery is because of the children. Like this it goes on.